It's your girl Jalicia, and I am back with something a little bit different. Today I want to talk about my lock story, my journey to having locks, how I feel about my locks, what I think about locks in general. And I just thought it would be interesting because a lot of times I would look at someone's lock journey or see their hair and just be infatuated and in love with it and want their locks. And then when you say it to them, they're like, oh, they're okay, or they're not as in love with them as you are. So I think that's interesting, and I figured, hey, let's talk about it and share. You know how I like to, So if you're interested in hearing my lock story, stay tuned, alright? Okay. Now, when I first started my locks, like I told you guys in my tag, if you hadn't seen it, go back there and watch it. No, I'm just kidding. Like I told you guys, my boyfriend came, and he moved here from Jersey, and I was always complaining about how I wanted my locks. I had a full head of natural hair at that time. I had been natural for maybe 5 years. I believe 5 years. And he was like, I am so sick of hearing you talk about locks. Because as you see, he got locks all the way down here. So he was like, I'm sick of you always complaining about locks. So here's the money. Go on, get your hair locked. And I did. But like 2 months prior to that, maybe, I got my hair locked in January 6, 2010. So let's say between November and December, I had twisted my hair, toyed with the idea, left them in like 2 days, took them out, obsessed with the parting, all that good stuff. But January is when I officially started, no turning back, no taking them out. Now, I was born and raised in the Virgin Islands, so locks, let me not say locks, freeform locks, it's pretty common. Like, there's Rastaman all over the place. But the one thing that we don't have an influx of, we didn't have an influx back then of, I actually didn't know anything about, was twisting locks, or twisted locks, or twisters. Let me say that. I'm just kidding. Don't attack me. I just said it as a joke. You know who I'm talking to, and you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so, I'm sorry. Anyway, so I had never known about twisting locks. I just always knew about freeform locks. You know, you put the aloes in it, we call it lick. You shake your hair out, boom. And I had started my locks like that maybe 3 or 4 times during the 5 years I was natural like that, and I always just washed it out. So I didn't know about twisting. When I came and my boyfriend said, go ahead and go to the loctician, my friend Monique, she twisted my hair in 2-strand twists because, like I said, I had a head full of hair and those comb cords weren't going to work for me because of the texture. So she 2-strand twisted my hair and I was off into my journey. Now, the funny thing about that is I hated my twist. I hated my hair immensely for like the first, I was going to say 2 or 3 months, but I'm really, honestly, the first 6 or 7 months. But the hate started to be not as severe after month 3, going to month 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. In the first 2 or 3 months, I wanted them out. And I would actually go on YouTube and obsess about ways to tie your hair and wrap your hair so that no one would see it because I thought I looked ugly with it. Ray loved it. He could not stop touching it. He was just in love with the fact that, number one, I was growing locks. I was going to say going natty because that's what we call it. I going natty. Or you turning Rasta, but I was already a Rasta, so it wasn't no turning. Anyway, I digress. He was obsessed and in love and infatuated with the process. I, on the other hand, I was not feeling it. I was not feeling it. Like, I felt like, where am I going with this big bushy mess on it? I didn't embrace the beauty because I didn't see any there at all. It was not beautiful. It was bushy. It was nappy. And it was swelling. And it wasn't, slicked back like I used to wear my afro, slicked back in a bun. It wasn't anything like that. I was embracing, it almost felt like I was embracing my natural hair for the first time. Which I know sounds weird because I was natural for 5 years or 5 or 6 years before that. But I really didn't, my hair really, I wasn't impressed by it. When I first went natural, I never wore TWA. And that's a teeny weeny afro. I let my my perm grow out and I would cut the ends off, but I never had a TWA. So I never had to look at myself with this soft crop, kind of like how my hair is now, like close to the head. I didn't go through that stage, so I didn't have to embrace it. So when I started my 2-strand twist, they were shorter than this. They was real short because, you know, they shrink. Honey, I looked like I didn't have no hair, and I was so consumed with what society, I put the things at the wrong time, thought about, you know, tightly coiled, I'm going to just say, bald-headed ass women. You know, I felt insecure about that, and I was insecure because it was new. Now, as my boyfriend started to reinforce how beautiful it was and how he loved it and how he did not want me to wrap my hair, sometimes I would be like, I'm wrapping it, I don't care, depending on where I was going. Sometimes I was like, you know what, whatever. And I started embracing my hair because I started trying different accessories. Like I started with scarves, and I would tie the scarves like in a bow or on the side, have a little bit of hair coming out, really funky, and I like that. I practiced with big earrings because prior, you guys wouldn't believe my earring collection started when I started my locks, honestly, because before I would just wear studs and that's it. Like I didn't need anything, and plus my hair was always slicked back in a bun, so I didn't like how big earrings looked on me, so I didn't wear them. I had a couple, but they were just for me to look at, I guess, because I never wore them. But, you know, after I had to embrace my hair and it being short and different ways I could wear it, I fell in love with earrings. So, that was about month 2 or 3. Now, I remember Proud to be a Nurse saying that she wore wigs. And I contemplated wearing wigs, and I probably would have been like you and just rocked a wig the whole time if I found one of those fabulous curly Diana Ross type wigs. But A, I couldn't find one. B, Ray was like, hell no, you ain't taking my money and buying no wig. I was like, okay, I'll take my money. Anyway, and 3, all I found at those times was these ugly grandmama wigs, because wigs was just coming in style. You know what I mean? So it wasn't really, it was like your grandma wigs, and I wasn't finna wear that. No ma'am. No ma'am. Yeah. I wasn't finna wear those wigs, so I just didn't. So I used scarves and ribbon and jewelry, and sometimes I put earrings in my hair, depending. I just figured it out, child. That's a whole nother conversation, but I worked it on out. And so I started to embrace it, and I literally sat in the mirror for 30 minutes every night and just looked at my hair. Pushed it different ways, styled it, see how I like this part going back. That's what you have to do. In order to love your hair, you have to embrace that this is who you are. It was my choice to start locks, so I had to stay true to the journey. Now, by no means am I saying I don't still have days where I'm like, chop this shit off, I've had enough. Like, I feel like that's a human nature. We all go through that. But by staring in that mirror, and sometimes I still do it. If I'm having a really bad, ugly hair week, I do it. Like, now that I decided I'm going to not twist my hair until August, I am sure I have plenty 30 minutes to go. But that's what go without saying. After I started sitting in the mirror, I really started to like the uniqueness of my hair and how it was on me, and that was it. Nobody would compliment me on my hair. No, I promise you guys, until I got to my 13th month, which was like February of this year, no one gave me any compliments. Let me not say they didn't give me any compliments. No one complimented my locks. Everyone was like, your curls are gorgeous. Who did your braids? Like, how did you get your hair to be all curly like that? Now, I am looking in the mirror all day, mind you. I'm like, oh, yes, I'm locked. I can see the lock. No, ma'am. Your curls are gorgeous. Like, one time, me and my boyfriend was going somewhere with this other guy that we know, right? He was showing us directions somewhere or something. And they were in a full-fledged I'm driving. They were in a full-fledged conversation about his locks now. And then I said something like, yeah, it hasn't been that easy for me. He said, I'm sure it wouldn't be that easy for you because you have curls. I mean, if you had locks, it would be easier. He said that. And my boyfriend laughed hysterically because he know how much that irks me. And I was like, curls? Excuse me. These are locks. Like, no one would say to me, your locks are gorgeous. Except Ray, because he would be like making fun of me after they say, you know, you're anything you could think of. Your noodles are gorgeous. Anything you could say besides using the word locks, that's how they would do it. And that would just, knife to my chest. Now, so, you know, I really had to learn how to love it. And that's something that you need to understand. I want to convey to everyone is that I don't think I've ever had a hairstyle where I loved it instantly. It just haven't. Like, some things have to grow on you, and especially something as major as going from permed to kinky. It's a process, and it's okay if today you don't like it because tomorrow you may love it, and next week you might want to marry it. You know what I mean? And then the week after that, you want a divorce. Like, it's a process just like everything else. And if you wake up one day and decide you don't want your hair natural anymore, cut it off. Like, don't make yourself miserable or do anything else for the greater good because you feel like, oh, it's a natural hair movement. Like, be yourself. Make the decision for you so that you can really love it, because I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I was forced to do something and then I did it and I was happy the whole way through. Like, if your heart is not in it, it's not in it. Some people, I feel like, honestly, they're not cut out to be natural. They're just not. Like, I mean, you don't know. You don't know. You can't make decisions for everyone else. And I really feel like some people are just not cut out. Like, if you're making the journey more miserable than it has to be, and if the fact that your hair is ugly right now is taking over your life, it is not that serious. It really ain't. It's not. So the reason why I told you my loc story, just a little bit of it, because there's more to come, is love your hair, and I promise you it will love you back, okay? So I'll give you a little bit more of my hair story in another video, my loc story actually, because trust me, it's much more tomfoolery to come, alright? I just wanted to give you a little piece of that, alright? Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts and, you know, what you think. Your thoughts and what you think. Sometimes I just amaze myself. Let me know your thoughts and comments on my loc story down below, alright?